Okay, in this video we're now going to take you through the process of exporting your data to a payroll system or out to a CSV file so that it can be keyed or imported into a payroll system. Before we do that, I just want to quickly show you the situation of how the data entry would be if you were editing a timesheet for an employee who was tracking cost centers and job codes. So if I go into my review times, now, the other thing with while I'm in here, just as I've got the screen up, you notice I've got multiple weeks in here. So everything operates in my timesheets in pay cycles. So I would have a fortnight's worth of data progressively building up here. Obviously, I haven't got to Sunday yet, but Sunday would appear once Sunday had arrived. So going back to entering the data against particular jobs. So if I come in here, and let's say I wanted to enter a job here for Bob. Now, obviously, Bob Bobson only just started an hour earlier video, so Bob probably hasn't entered a timesheet for Friday. But let's say Bob started before we added him to my timesheets, and he'd actually been filling in a manual timesheet, and we now need to get him in there because someone forgot to tell Bob that we were using my timesheets. So I would come in here, I would go to Friday, I would click on Add. I would then say, okay, he did 2 hours in this particular case, working on plumbing for the warehouse in Wellington. I can save that. And Bob also did a bit more than that, so he did more than the two. He also did 6 hours of roofing on the warehouse in Wellington because he's been pretty busy. And because he did that, he also might have had an allowance. I don't know if I've got a travel one, so I don't. Let's say because he'd worked really hard, we decided he should be entitled to have a meal money. So he gets one meal money for the day. Now, again, you're not going to do this, obviously, in this situation typically, but while he was doing the roof, he got hungry and he was working in the warehouse in Wellington again. So again, you can enter this data for an employee after the event who's forgotten. That's how you can code the information so that now when I run my report later on, I can work out all of my hours and costs associated with roofing versus plumbing for the warehouse in Wellington. So that's how you would enter that. So coming back to my pay period processing, so having reviewed and checked and locked down all of my pay periods, so the important thing is if you are going to run a pay, then you want to lock down the period. In this particular case, I have got my period ending the 17th is already locked down. I've actually locked down past that, and you can lock down and unlock and relock as many days as you want, but we suggest that you do lock at least up to your pay period, otherwise the employees have a chance of changing things that you don't want them to change. So once the period is locked, I'm happy with my review. I go to my pay period report to week ending the 17th. So this knows that my weekend's on a Sunday. So that's my week ending the 17th. This is the report that if you weren't exporting your data to a payroll system, that you could effectively key into a payroll system. So this gives you the employee broken down by their departments, as the case may be, and then the employees within departments if there's more than one employee in a department. It shows you the days of the week they've worked, what allowances or hours or leave that they've got, their totals for the week, what jobs they worked in, what cost centers they worked in. So this information, if you had to key it manually into a payroll system, would give you everything you need. It's in detail form because under New Zealand legislation, we're required to track the data in detail. If you wanted to, and depending on your payroll system, if your payroll system will only deal with weekly totals, that'll be dealt with in the export and that will already be pre-coded. So we'll give you the report so that you know that when the data hits your payroll, then it's correct. So that's basically the report that you would either check on screen or you would print and check. Now, if having run that report, there was something you found that you didn't like, you would simply go back to review times again and correct it. And we would suggest that you rerun the report, but that you don't have to. Once you're happy with the fact that your pay is ready to go to payroll, then you export the data. And again, this is up to the 17th. So what this will do then is it will create a CSV file, which will contain all of the payroll data that you would import into your payroll system. Having done that, my review times is now going to have less days in it. So now I've only got from this last Monday gone because my pay period has been posted. So that data will then stay in the system. It'll still be in all of our reports, which we'll cover in the next video. But also I've got the opportunity here to undo an export. So if I've exported it my payroll, I've imported it into the payroll, and I found that I've missed half my employees, we'd recommend that you check pretty thoroughly so that doesn't happen. But there is a chance that someone's got missed because, an example would be Bob Bobson, who hadn't been loaded correctly. So what I can also do if I need to do that is that you can undo the last export, which will take the data back as if that export never happened. And I do want to undo it. I do know what I'm doing, and I'm going to do that. So we'll ask you a couple of times, I think, because obviously it's important. If you're undoing a period, you are effectively putting back all of your data as if it had never been posted. So we recommend that you only do the undo option. It's not very good English, but if that's what you're doing, if you have a really good reason to do that. So in the next video, we'll talk about the reports and the exports.